The blade stopped 3 millimeters from Princess Zara's throat. She didn't flinch. The Valkyrie assassin holding the weapon did, his compound eyes widening as his arm locked in place, muscles screaming against an invisible force. Around them, the royal gardens of Thessera Prime burned. Smoke twisted through flowering vines that had bloomed for 3,000 years, now blackened and dying. "Drop it," Commander Marcus Kane said quietly. The human stood 20 meters away, one hand extended, face carved from stone. The assassin's blade clattered to the ground. Then his knees buckled. Then his entire body folded like paper, bones reorganizing themselves into a shape that should not exist in nature. Zara's breathing remained steady, though her heart hammered against her ribs. She'd seen humans before, of course. Everyone in the Galactic Council had, but she'd never witnessed one use their abilities. Never understood why every civilization that encountered Earth's children eventually learned to fear them. Marcus lowered his hand. The assassin collapsed, alive but unconscious, joints bent at angles that would take weeks to heal. "Your Highness," Marcus said, and his voice carried no warmth, no triumph. "Just facts. There are 17 more on the palace grounds. My team is handling them. You need to move to the secure chamber." "My mother, Queen Solara, is already there. She sent me for you." Zara's third eyelid flickered, an involuntary response to stress her kind couldn't fully control. Of course her mother had sent the human. She sent him for everything now. Ever since the marriage contract had been signed, binding Zara to this cold, terrifying creature who could reshape matter with his thoughts, an explosion rocked the Eastern Tower. Ancient stone turned to dust. Marcus's jaw tightened, the only sign of emotion he'd shown. "Now, Princess." She moved. They ran through corridors she'd known since hatching, but everything looked different through smoke and emergency lighting. Marcus stayed 3 steps ahead, his movements precise, economical.
"He didn't draw a weapon."
Didn't need to. His hands were weapons. His mind was a weapon. Humans had evolved on a death world that tried to kill them in 1,000 ways, and instead of dying, they'd learned to kill back, learned to manipulate the fundamental forces of reality through sheer force of will. A doorway exploded ahead of them. 4 crushed soldiers poured through, their exoskeletons gleaming with military-grade shielding. They saw Marcus and fired without hesitation. The plasma bolts stopped midair. Hung there, suspended, while Marcus tilted his head slightly. Then the bolts reversed direction, moving so fast they screamed. The Kresh had time to register surprise before their own weapons burned through their armor. Zara's stomach turned. She'd eaten breakfast with those soldiers. They'd laughed at her tutor's jokes during morning meditation. "They're not dead," Marcus said, as if reading her thoughts. Stunned. "When you can manipulate electromagnetic fields, you can stop a heart or restart it. I chose restart." He said it like a technical specification. Like Mercy was just another tactical option. They reached the secure chamber, a sphere of compressed titanium composite buried 300 meters below the palace. Queen Solara waited inside, her silver scales dimmed with worry. She pulled Zara into her arms the moment the door sealed. "Thank the ancestors," Solara whispered. Then, to Marcus, "The attackers? Side? Neutralized? Alive? My team is securing the perimeter." Marcus stood at attention, back straight, eyes forward. This was a coordinated assault. Professional. Someone paid a fortune for those assassins and mercenaries. "The Dominion," Solara said bitterly. "They can't accept that the Thera allied with Earth." "They fear us," Marcus corrected. "Everyone does." The silence stretched. Zara studied the human who was supposed to become her mate in 3 weeks. He looked young by human standards, maybe 30 of their short years. His skin was darker than the void of space, his eyes brown and steady. Handsome, she supposed, if you found predators attractive. "I requested you specifically," Solara said suddenly, "for this marriage." "Did you know?" Marcus's expression didn't change. "I assumed. Not because of your abilities, because of your file. Your psychological profile. Your record." The Queen's voice softened. "You've never killed anyone, Marcus. Not in 12 years of service. You've had 10,000 opportunities. You chose mercy every time." Something flickered across Marcus's face. Surprise, perhaps. Or pain. "The Dominion calls humans ruthless," Solara continued. "They call you monsters. Weapons. They say you'll consume the galaxy like you consumed your own world. But I read what Earth was before you evolved your gifts. I read about your wars, your suffering. and I read about what happened after. Zara stared at her mother. This conversation felt rehearsed, important in ways she didn't understand. You learn to heal, Solara said, to build, to choose restraint when you could choose destruction. That's why I chose you for my daughter. Not despite your power, but because of how you refused to use it. Marcus's hands flexed at his sides.
Your Highness, I'm a soldier.
If the Alliance requires this marriage, I'll fulfill my duty. I'm not asking about duty. Solara stepped closer. I'm asking if you'll protect her, not as a weapon, as a person. Finally, Marcus looked at Zara, really looked, for the first time. Yes, he said simply. I will. Above them, the palace burned while assassins slept in poses of defeat. Their hearts kept beating by the will of a human who'd been called Ruthless his entire life. The council chambers stank of fear and expensive perfume. Era stood before the assembled representatives of 47 worlds, feeling their eyes on her scales like physical touches. Some gazes held pity. Others disgust. A few carefully hidden held satisfaction. Ambassador Thex of the Dominion spoke with the measured calm of someone confident in their position. We mean no disrespect to Princess Zara or Queen Solara. We simply question the wisdom of binding Thessera's royal bloodline to a human, a species we barely understand, a species that terrifies half the civilized galaxy. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. Humans have been part of the Galactic Council for only 2 generations, Thex continued, his scales shimmering green with false concern. We don't know their long-term intentions. We don't know if their restraint is genuine or strategic, and we certainly don't know what abilities their offspring might possess. Sara's claws dug into her palms. She'd been silent for 15 minutes while they debated her future like she was cargo to be inspected. Marcus stood against the far wall, positioned with the other guards. His face revealed nothing, but she'd learned to read the small signs. The slight tension in his shoulders, the way his breathing had slowed. He was controlling his anger through techniques she didn't understand. The attack on the palace proves our concerns, Thex pressed on. Thessara has made enemies by aligning with Earth. This marriage will only deepen those divisions. We suggest postponing until... No, Princess, with respect... You respect nothing. Zara stepped forward, feeling her mother's approving gaze. You funded those assassins. Your financial codes were all over the mercenary contracts. Did you think our intelligence network was decorative? The chamber erupted. Thex's scales flushed dark purple. That's a dangerous accusation. Data crystals appearing on screens, it's a fact. Queen Solara rose from her throne, data crystals appearing on screens around the chamber. We've had the evidence for 6 days. We were waiting to see how far you'd go, whether you'd actually attempt to murder my daughter to stop this alliance. Zara watched Thex's composure crack. Good. Let him feel what she'd felt waiting in this chamber while they decided if she was worth protecting. The Dominion fears humans, Solara continued, her voice cold as deep space. You always have. When Earth developed psionic abilities, you tried to quarantine their entire system. When that failed, you tried diplomatic isolation. When that failed, you spread propaganda about human ruthlessness, human danger, human aggression. But the truth is simpler. You fear anyone you can't control. They are dangerous. Thex's composure shattered completely. They manipulate matter. They read thoughts. They could dominate every species in the Council if they chose. But they don't, a new voice said. High Arbiter Zhen, a crystallid whose species had lived for millennia, rotated her faceted body toward the assembly. I have studied humans for 30 years. I have watched them restrain themselves in situations where we would have struck. I have seen them heal where we would destroy. They confuse us because they act against their own immediate interests. They choose principle over power. Pretty words? Thex spat. But words change nothing. Humans are weapons walking in skin. This marriage is happening. Everyone turned. Marcus had spoken for the first time, his voice quiet but absolute. With respect, Commander Kane, Thex said with barely concealed contempt, this is a matter for the Council. Marcus moved forward with that economical grace that made him look like water flowing uphill. It's a matter for Princess Zara, and she's already decided. I can hear her thoughts right now, bright and clear and absolutely certain. She's not afraid of me. She's afraid you'll use her fear as a weapon. Zara's breath caught. Could he really read her mind? Or was he guessing? Marcus's lips twitched, almost a smile. Both, Your Highness. Your people's thoughts sound like crystal chimes. Very distinctive. And yes, you're thinking about whether I can hear this thought too. Despite everything, despite the fear in politics and assassination attempts, Zara almost laughed. You see? Thex gestured wildly. He invades her mind without permission. This is exactly when I agreed to the marriage contract. Full mental bonding is traditional for royal unions. I studied the human version. I accepted it. You don't know what you're accepting. Human bonding goes deeper than any species in the council. They don't just share thoughts, they share emotions, memories, eventually even biological processes. You'll be connected to a creature who could crush your mind with his. The fear in Thex's voice was real now, raw and old. Zara suddenly understood. This wasn't about politics. The Dominion had met humans before the Council had.
They'd fought them.
And they'd lost. What happened? Zara asked quietly. What did humans do to make you this afraid? For a moment he looked small. The Battle of Ceres Ridge, High Arbiter Zhen said softly. 80 years ago, before humans joined the Council. The Dominion tried to claim Earth's asteroid belt. Humans had just developed their abilities. They didn't have weapons, ships, any technology the Dominion would recognize as military. They didn't need weapons, Thex whispered. They just stopped us. 100 ships! Stopped in space! They held us there for 3 days while they decided what to do with us. 3 days we couldn't move, couldn't speak, couldn't even breathe without their permission. And then they let us go. Every single ship, every single soldier, alive. The chamber was utterly silent. That's what terrifies you, Marcus said softly. Not that we could destroy you, that we chose not to. Zara looked at the human who would be her husband and saw him clearly for the first time. Not as a weapon or a monster or even a person, as a choice. A civilization that had gained the power of gods and decided to be something better. The marriage proceeds, Queen Solara declared. 3 weeks. Anyone who objects can bring their concerns to me personally. As the council dispersed, Marcus approached Zara with careful steps. Your Highness, I apologize for reading your thoughts publicly. It was necessary to make a point, but I should have stopped calling me Your Highness. Zara surprised herself at the words. We're going to be bonded. You'll know every thought, every fear, every dream I've ever had. Might as well start with my name. Marcus's expression softened into something almost human, almost vulnerable. Zara, then. And I'm Marcus. Just Marcus. Just Marcus who can stop plasma bolts mid-air and read minds through crystal walls? Okay, Marcus who can do some admittedly impressive things. The corner of his mouth lifted. But also Marcus who burns toast, forgets anniversaries, and once got lost in his own ship for 6 hours. Not fear, not duty, actual interest in this strange, terrifying, gentle creature. Tell me about Earth, she said impulsively. The real Earth, not the propaganda. Marcus looked at her for a long moment, then nodded. It's beautiful, he said quietly, and broken. And healing, like most things worth saving. The human quarters smelled different. Zara noticed it immediately as she entered Marcus's living space on the diplomatic ship. Not unpleasant, just foreign, something organic and warm her sensors couldn't quite categorize. Earth plants grew in careful rows near the windows, green and absurdly fragile looking. How did anything survive being so soft? They're tougher than they look, Marcus said, not turning from where he stood preparing tea. That one survived a vacuum breach. I found it 3 days later frozen solid, and it grew back. Zara's third eyelid flickered. You can hear my thoughts constantly? The loud thoughts. Unless you invite me deeper or I make an effort. He poured steaming liquid into delicate ceramic cups. Your people broadcast more than most species. It's not intrusive, more like hearing someone humming in another room. She accepted the tea carefully, studying the cup. Human craftsmanship. Made by hands, not fabricators. Why? Why what? Why make things by hand when you could shape matter with your mind? Marcus settled into a chair that looked too worn to be regulation. Because choosing the slow way matters. Because limitations breed creativity. Because if we do everything with our abilities, we forget what it means to be human. We were terrified when the changes started. When children began moving objects with their thoughts. When teenagers started reading emotions. When young adults learned to manipulate fundamental forces, we thought we'd become something else, something alien. But you didn't. No. We became more human, because we had to work twice as hard to stay connected to who we were. His eyes met hers. Every human child learns the same lesson. Power without restraint is just destruction. We teach control before we teach mathematics. We teach empathy before we teach history. Because we have to. Zara set down her cup, claws clicking against ceramic. The Dominion thinks you're biding your time, that eventually humans will use their abilities to dominate the galaxy. The Dominion judges us by their own standards. Marcus's voice carried no anger, just sadness. They gained power through conquest. They assume everyone thinks like they do. But humans learn different lessons. We nearly destroyed ourselves a dozen times before we evolved our gifts. Nuclear weapons, biological warfare, climate collapse. We know what domination looks like from the inside. We chose differently. Chose? Zara repeated. You make it sound simple. It was the hardest thing we ever did. Marcus stood, moving to the window where earth plants swayed in artificial breeze. There were factions that wanted to use our abilities for expansion, for revenge against civilizations that had wronged us. For all the usual justifications that empires use, we almost had civil war over it. What stopped you? Marcus was silent for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was soft. A child, a little girl named Maya Chen. She was 7 years old, one of the first generation born with full abilities. During the political rally where the war factions were gaining ground, she walked onto the stage and asked one question. If we become like the people who hurt us, did we really survive? One child changed everything. One child said what everyone was thinking but afraid to voice. She reminded us that survival isn't just about living. It's about what you become while living. Marcus turned back to face her. We named our restraint doctrine after her. The Maya principle power exists to protect, not to dominate. Every human child learns it. Every soldier swears by it. It's the foundation of everything we are. Truly? Marcus's expression grew distant. I've broken people's bones to save their lives. I've stopped hearts to restart them in proper rhythm. I've rewritten neural pathways to cure diseases and to stop attacks. Every time I feel the temptation, the whisper that says I could do more. Take more. Control more. His hands clenched. But easy isn't the same as right. Zara stood, moving closer. You're afraid of yourself. That's what makes us safe. Marcus met her eyes. You asked why I never killed anyone. It's not moral superiority, it's terror. Because the moment I cross that line, I prove everyone who fears humans is right. I prove we can't be trusted. I prove the Maya principle is just propaganda. That's a heavy burden. It's the price of power. Marcus's voice was steady now, certain. Humans don't get to be careless. We don't get to make mistakes like other species. Every action we take gets examined, judged, used as evidence for or against us. So we're careful. We're patient. We choose the hard path because we have to. Zara reached out slowly, telegraphing her movement. Marcus didn't flinch as her clawed hand rested against his arm. His skin was warm, alive in ways her scales weren't. I was terrified of you, she said quietly. When my mother announced the marriage, I spent 3 days researching humans. Every article made you sound like weapons. Like one wrong word might make you snap. And now? Now I think you're the most dangerous thing in the galaxy. And also the safest. She pulled her hand back. Because you're dangerous to everyone, including yourselves, so you built every possible safeguard. You made fear into discipline. Marcus smiled, a real smile this time. You understand us better than most species that have known humans for decades. I'm going to bond with you. Share thoughts, emotions, eventually biological processes, according to Ambassador Thex's panic attack. Zara's third eyelid flickered with something like amusement. Seemed prudent to understand what I'm connecting myself to. Are you afraid? But not of you. Of intimacy. I've never shared my mind before. My people don't bond like humans do. This will be deeper than anything in my experience.
We can take it slow,
Marcus offered. Bonding doesn't happen all at once. It builds gradually, like a conversation that gets deeper over time. We control the pace together. Together, Zara repeated. The word felt foreign in her mouth, but not unpleasant. I've been alone in my thoughts my entire life. Even surrounded by family, I was separate. You're never alone, are you? Humans bond with family, friends, partners, and It's overwhelming at first. But you learn to appreciate it, to trust it. Marcus's expression grew thoughtful. My sister and I share a shallow bond. She's on Earth right now, 300 light years away. I can feel her, faintly. She's happy today. Probably got a promotion she's been working toward. That doesn't scare you? Never having privacy? Bonded humans can create privacy. We build mental walls, quiet spaces. It's like closing a door. The other person knows you've closed it, respects it. The connection is always there, but it doesn't have to be intrusive. Marcus moved back to his chair, settling into it with unconscious grace. What scares you most about bonding with me specifically? Bad, surprised herself by answering honestly. That you'll see all of me?
Every petty thought, every moment of weakness.
Every fear I've hidden from everyone, including myself, and you'll be disappointed. Marcus's laugh was unexpected, warm, and genuine. Zara, I've been in combat situations with the worst humanity has to offer. I've felt their thoughts, their justifications, their rationalizations. I've seen inside minds twisted by hate and fear and cruelty. Whatever you're hiding, I promise it's not that bad. You don't know that. I do, actually. Because people who have genuinely dark secrets don't worry about being disappointing. They worry about being caught. His eyes held hers. You're afraid of being human, ironically. I'm not human. You know what I mean. Flawed, imperfect, real.
Marcus leaned forward. The bonding goes both ways.
You'll see all of me, too. Every stupid mistake. Every failure. Every time I've been petty or angry or scared, you'll probably be disappointed, too. I doubt that. I once spent 6 hours arguing with my commander about proper tea preparation during a hostage crisis. I was technically insubordinate over beverage temperature. Marcus's expression was deadpan. Still think I'm some perfect warrior monk? Zara felt her scales shift with surprise, then something warmer. You argued about tea during a crisis? In my defense, the hostages were secured and safe. And he was making it wrong. You can't just microwave water and call it proper tea. Marcus shook his head with mock severity. Some principles are worth dying on. The laugh surprised her, bubbling up from somewhere deep. It felt good. Natural. When had she last laughed about something other than political necessity? Marcus smiled, and this time it reached his eyes. There. That's what I wanted to see. What? You, not the princess, not the political alliance, just Zara, who thinks tea arguments during hostage situations are funny. She'd been so focused on the politics, the danger, the fear, she hadn't considered this, that Marcus might be trying to know her. Not just bond with her, but actually understand who she was. Tell me something true, she said impulsively. Something you haven't told anyone else. Marcus was quiet for a long moment. I'm lonely. I've been lonely for years. Humans bond easily with each other, but I'm always deployed, always moving. I have shallow bonds with my team, but nothing deep. Nothing like what bonded partners share. When I was selected for this marriage, part of me was relieved. Not because of duty, but because I'd finally have someone close. Really close. The honesty hit Zara like physical force. You wanted this marriage? I wanted connection. The marriage was just the form it took. Marcus met her eyes. I won't lie and say I chose you specifically. I didn't know you before the contract. But I'm choosing now. Every day, I'm choosing to know you better. To build something real instead of just following orders. Zara sat down carefully, her mind spinning. I thought you were enduring this, accepting it out of duty. What happens next is up to us. Marcus's voice was gentle. We can be strangers who share thoughts, or we can be partners who choose to understand each other. Your choice, Zara. Always your choice. She looked at this human warrior who could reshape matter with his thoughts and chose instead to reshape tea. Who could read her mind and chose instead to ask questions? Who carried the weight of his entire species' reputation and still found room to be lonely? Partners? She said quietly. Let's be partners. Marcus's smile was like sunrise. I'd like that. Outside stars wheeled in eternal patterns. Inside, two people from different worlds took the first steps toward understanding each other. It wasn't destiny, it wasn't fate. It was choice. And that made it real. The meditation chamber was neutral territory, designed by the Council for species that needed absolute silence to think. Zara sat cross-legged on the cushioned floor, trying to quiet her racing thoughts. In 3 days, the bonding ceremony would begin. 3 days until her mind opened to another consciousness. The door chimed softly. Marcus entered without waiting for acknowledgement, and Zara realized she'd unconsciously expected him, wanted him there. "Your mother sent me," he said, settling onto the floor across from her with uncanny grace. "She thinks you're panicking." "I'm not panicking. Your thoughts are so loud right now, I can hear them from 3 corridors away." "You're definitely panicking." Zara's scales flushed darker. "Can every human read minds this easily?" "I'm specialized in telepathy and psychokinesis. Most humans focus on 1 or 2 abilities and develop them deeply rather than spreading thin across many." Marcus tilted his head. "You're afraid you'll disappoint your people. That accepting me means betraying them somehow." "Stop reading my mind." "Then stop broadcasting." But Marcus's tone was gentle, not mocking. "Your people evolved mental privacy. Humans evolved mental connection. We're naturally incompatible in some ways, but we can learn each other's languages." "How?" Marcus reached into his jacket and pulled out a small device. "This is a telepathic dampener. It'll reduce my range to almost nothing. I brought it in case you wanted space." "You'd limit your own abilities? Your comfort matters more than my convenience." Marcus set the dampener between them. "I can activate it right now if you want. We can talk without me hearing every thought." "Humans could dampen their abilities? They'd develop technology to limit themselves?" Marcus's expression flickered with something like old pain. "After the changes, when our abilities first manifested, there were accidents. Telepaths who couldn't control their range, driving themselves mad with everyone's thoughts. Psychokinetics who destroyed things in their sleep. We developed dampeners out of necessity, then refined them into courtesy. Most humans use them in crowded spaces or intimate moments. It's considered polite. But you didn't use one with me." "You didn't ask, and I thought being open might help you trust me." Marcus looked uncertain for the first time since she'd met him. "Was I wrong?" Zara reached out and pushed the dampener back toward him. "Don't use it. I need to get used to this. To you. Hiding won't help." "You're sure?" "No, but I'm choosing it anyway." Zara folded her hands in her lap. "My mother said something strange yesterday. She said humans taught her that strength and vulnerability aren't opposites." "What did she mean?" Marcus was quiet, gathering his thoughts. "Most species see vulnerability as weakness, something to hide or eliminate. Humans see it differently. We learn that being vulnerable with the right people makes you stronger, not weaker. That admitting fear doesn't make you a coward, it makes you honest." The Maya principle again. Everything comes back to that. Marcus smiled slightly. Maya Chen said something else that doesn't get quoted as much. When asked if she was afraid of adults with more power than her, she said, "Of course I'm afraid. Fear means you're paying attention. But being afraid doesn't mean I have to be alone." Zara felt something unlock in her chest. "You're all terrified. Constantly. Of each other. Of what we could become."
Marcus's voice was steady.
"But we're terrified together. We share the fear instead of hiding it. That's what bonding is, really. Agreeing to be afraid with someone instead of alone. And you think I should be afraid?" "Of bonding with you?" "I think you should be honest about it." Marcus leaned forward. "Zara, I'm going to see every part of you. Every insecurity, every petty jealousy, every moment you've been selfish or cruel or weak, and you're going to see the same in me. That's terrifying for both of us. Pretending it's not doesn't help." "What does help?" "Choosing to stay anyway. Choosing to see each other's darkness and not run." Marcus's eyes were intense now, burning with conviction. "Humans bond because we believe knowing someone completely is worth the risk of being known completely. We believe love, real love, comes from understanding, not idealization." "Love?" Zara's voice came out smaller than she intended. "This is a political marriage. It doesn't have to stay that way." Marcus's tone was careful, offering rather than demanding. "We can build something real, or we can stay strangers who share headspace. But I need to know what you want, Zara. Not what your mother wants. Not what the Alliance needs. What you want." Zara's thoughts spiraled. What did she want? She'd spent so long thinking about duty, about her people's needs, about politics. When had she last considered her own desires? "I want," she paused, surprised by the words forming. "I want to not be alone anymore. I'm surrounded by people every day, but I'm alone inside my head. I've been alone my whole life. And I'm tired of it. Then let me in. Not because you have to. Because you want to. I don't know how. We start small. Marcus extended his hand, palm up. Physical contact helps. Telepathic bonding usually begins with touch, builds from there. May I? Zara looked at his hand. Dark skin against the neutral floor, fingers slightly calloused from training. A human hand. Attached to a human who could read her mind, reshape her body, control her thoughts if he wanted. But he was asking permission. She placed her clawed hand in his. The contact was electric. Not painful, but intense, like touching something alive in ways she'd never experienced. Marcus's mind brushed against hers, soft as petals, careful as glass. You're loud, he said quietly. Your thoughts have texture, like crystal formations, all geometric and precise. Beautiful. What do your thoughts feel like? To me? Normal. To you? Marcus concentrated. Tell me what you sense. Zara closed her eyes, focusing on the connection. Marcus's mind felt warm, layered. Like looking at sedimentary rock, she could sense different strata of consciousness. Surface thoughts quick and bright, deeper emotions slow and steady. And below that, something vast and quiet she couldn't quite touch. You're deep, she whispered. Like an ocean. How do you not drown in yourself? Practice. Meditation. Therapy. Marcus's thumb moved gently across her palm. Humans learn mental organization young. We have to, or we'd lose ourselves in our own heads. I can teach you, if you want, how to build rooms in your mind, how to separate different thoughts, how to be yourself while sharing space with another consciousness. That's possible? Bonded humans stay individuals. We don't merge into one being. We're more like, Marcus paused, searching for words, like two songs playing in harmony. Distinct but complementary. You'll always be you. I'll always be me, but we'll understand each other better than words allow. Zara opened her eyes. Marcus was watching her with an expression she couldn't quite read. Not pity, not desire. Something gentler. Interest, maybe. Genuine curiosity about who she was. What are you thinking right now? She asked. I can't hear your surface thoughts like you hear mine. I'm thinking you're braver than you believe. You're sitting here holding hands with someone who terrifies you, trying to understand instead of running. That takes courage. Marcus's grip tightened slightly. And I'm thinking I'm lucky. That whatever political necessity brought us together, I'm lucky it was you. I know you're afraid, but face the fear anyway. I know you question yourself constantly, but keep moving forward. I know you care about your people more than yourself. Marcus smiled. That's more than most people know about their partners before bonding. We have a foundation. We can build on it. Zara felt her resistance crumbling. This human who could be a weapon chose to be a partner. This creature who could dominate chose to collaborate. She'd expected ruthlessness and found restraint. Expected coldness and found warmth. The bonding ceremony, she said slowly. What actually happens? We'll be in a controlled environment. Telepaths will monitor to ensure neither of us gets overwhelmed. We start with shallow connection, sharing surface thoughts, basic emotions. Then, over hours, we go deeper. Past words into pure understanding. Past understanding into synchronization. The first bonding usually takes 12 to 16 hours. That long? We're building neural pathways that don't naturally exist, creating connection between alien minds. It takes time. Marcus's voice was matter-of-fact. It'll be uncomfortable. Maybe painful, definitely overwhelming. You'll feel everything I feel. I'll sense everything you sense. There's nowhere to hide. You're really selling this. Marcus laughed. I'm being honest, I won't lie and say it's easy. But I will promise it's worth it. Bonded humans report higher happiness, better mental health, deeper life satisfaction. Connection heals us, makes us more than we are alone. Zara looked at their joined hands. My people don't do this. We mate, we reproduce, but we stay separate. I don't know if I can handle losing that separation. You'll expand yourself.
There's a difference. Marcus's voice was gentle.
And if at any point it's too much, we can slow down. Pause. Even stop. Though that's not recommended once we start. The ceremony is designed to be flexible. With anyone. Never a deep partnership bond. Marcus met her eyes. This is my first time too. We'll figure it out together. that word again. Zara had been alone so long she'd forgotten what together felt like. But here, now, holding hands with a human who could read her fear and chose patience instead of pressure, she began to remember. "Okay," she said quietly. 3 days. I'll be ready. You don't have to be ready. You just have to show up. We'll handle the rest." They sat in silence, hands joined, minds touching at the edges. Outside, the galaxy spun through political machinations and power plays. Inside, two people learned to trust each other, one moment at a time. It wasn't romantic. Not yet. But it was real. And real was enough. The ceremony chamber glowed with bioluminescent panels designed to calm multiple species' nervous systems. Zara stood in the center, wearing traditional bonding robes that left her arms bare for contact. Marcus waited across from her, dressed simply in human ceremonial white. Between them, 3 telepathic monitors sat in meditative poses, ready to intervene if either consciousness began drowning. Queen Solara watched from an observation deck with High Arbiter Zhen and a handful of essential witnesses. The Dominion had protested their exclusion. The protest had been noted and ignored. "Ready?" Marcus asked softly. Zara's hearts hammered against her ribs. "No. But let's begin anyway." The lead monitor, an elderly human named Dr. Sarah Chen, no relation to Maya, though the coincidence wasn't lost on anyone, spoke in a gentle voice. "We'll start with basic synchronization. Place your hands together, palm to palm. Focus on breathing in rhythm." Zara pressed her palms against Marcus's. His skin was warm, alive, and she felt the flutter of his pulse beneath the surface. Fast. He was nervous too. Somehow that helped. "Breathe in." Dr. Chen instructed. "Hold. Breathe out. Let your rhythms match." They breathed together. Slowly, Zara's frantic hearts began to settle, matching the pattern. Marcus's pulse slowed in response. Synchronization, she realized. They were already beginning to sync. Good. Now, Marcus, lower your barriers. Zara, open your thoughts. Marcus's eyes stayed locked on hers as his mind opened. Zara felt it like a door swinging wide, and suddenly she was falling into him. His thoughts rushed up to meet her. Afraid she'll sense the fear, afraid she'll run. She's so brave for doing this. Her hands are shaking. No, wait, that's patronizing. Just breathe. Just be present. She smells like ozone and copper. Is that normal for her species? Focus, Kane. This is important. Don't mess up. She's trusting you. Don't break that trust. Her eyes are so complex. How do they have 3 eyelids? Beautiful, really. She's beautiful in her fear. No, that's wrong. Not beautiful because she's afraid. Beautiful despite being afraid. Beautiful because she's facing it. I hope I don't disappoint her. I hope... Chen nodded approvingly. Good instincts, both of you. Communication is key. Try again when ready. Zara took a moment to settle. She'd felt Marcus's thoughts, actually felt them like water rushing over her consciousness. His nervousness mirrored hers, his desire not to fail, his unexpected appreciation for her compound eyes. Okay, she said. Slower this time. Marcus opened again, but controlled now. Measured. His thoughts came through like a gentle stream instead of a flood. Breathing. Focus on breathing. Let her set the pace. She's here. She's trying. That's enough. Zara tentatively lowered her own barriers, whatever those were. She'd never had to control mental privacy before. Her thoughts spilled out awkwardly. This is strange. Can he hear this? Yes, he can hear this. Why are his thoughts so organized? Mine feel chaotic. Is this normal? Am I doing this wrong? His mind feels vast. How do I not get lost? I'm here. I'll guide you. Marcus's thought came through clear and certain, and Zara realized something profound. They were having a conversation without words. Pure meaning flowing between minds. How do I answer back? Think at me instead of at yourself. Direct your intention. Zara tried. Like this? I don't feel natural? I feel like I'm drowning. That's normal. First bonding is overwhelming. We'll take it slow. Tell me what you sense. Zara focused inward, examining the connection. Marcus's consciousness felt like architecture. Carefully constructed rooms and corridors, each holding different aspects of himself. Surface thoughts in the foyer, easily accessible. Emotions in deeper chambers, organized by type and intensity. Memories further down, locked behind doors she couldn't quite see through. You built your mind like a building. Mental organization. We learn it young. Want me to help you build something similar? Oh, that's it. Please. Marcus's presence grew more solid in her mind. Not invasive, but supportive. Like hands guiding her through darkness. Imagine a space, your space. It could be anything. A cave, a palace, a forest, somewhere that feels like you, Zara imagined. Her mind conjured a crystalline cavern, facets reflecting light that came from everywhere and nowhere. Geometric, precise. Hers. Beautiful. Very you. Now imagine rooms within it, spaces for different parts of yourself. Together, they built. Marcus showed her how to partition thoughts, how to separate immediate awareness from deeper emotions, how to create quiet spaces where she could retreat if overwhelmed. The process felt intimate, like letting someone arrange her innermost furniture. Hours passed. Or maybe minutes. Time felt different in this mental space. Dr. Chen's voice cut through, distant but clear. You're doing excellent. Heart rate synchronized, brainwave patterns aligning. Ready for deeper integration? She was still standing, palms pressed to Marcus's, but she'd forgotten her body entirely. How long have we been connected? Chen said. You've moved through surface bonding faster than most interspecies pairs. Shall we continue? Zara looked at Marcus. Actually looked, with her physical eyes instead of mental ones. He looked tired but happy. A small smile played at his lips. Your thoughts taste like starlight, he said aloud. I didn't know consciousness could have flavor. Dark and calm. Zara realized she was smiling too. I'm not drowning anymore. Because you built yourself a boat. Your crystal cave. It's brilliant. Better than my boring hallway architecture. Marcus's smile widened. Ready to go deeper? What's next? Emotional synchronization? We'll start feeling what each other feels. That's when bonding becomes real. Zara took a breath, nodded. Together. Together. Dove deeper. The next level was overwhelming. Marcus's emotions hit her like physical force, a complex cocktail of nervousness, hope, curiosity, protectiveness, and something warmer she didn't have a name for. She felt his desire for this to work. His fear of failure. His genuine growing affection for her as a person, not just a duty. In return, her emotions flooded into him. Her terror. Her exhaustion at being afraid. Her loneliness. Her desperate hope that maybe, possibly, this could be something good. Her surprise at actually liking him. I like you too. Marcus sent, his mental voice warm with amusement. Surprise, surprise. We actually enjoy each other. Political marriages don't work like this. Then let's not call it political marriages don't work like this. Let's just call it ours. The emotions intensified, feeding back on themselves. Zara felt Marcus feel her feeling him. A strange loop that should have been confusing, but somehow felt right. Natural, like this was how minds were supposed to interact. Dr. Chen's voice came again. Neural pathways forming, bonding taking root. This is the critical phase. Any discomfort, any need to slow down, say something immediately. But Zara didn't want to slow down. For the first time in her life, she wasn't alone inside her own head. Marcus was there, present and real, his consciousness wrapping around hers like protective wings. She felt safe, connected, whole in ways she'd never imagined. Is this what humans feel all the time? She asked in wonder. With our bonded partners, yes. This is what we are together. This is why we choose connection over isolation. I was so afraid of losing myself. You're expanding, not disappearing. Hours blurred together. They moved through emotional synchronization into memory sharing, brief flashes of each other's pasts. Zara saw Earth through Marcus's childhood eyes, the blue marble slowly healing from centuries of damage. Marcus saw Thessera through hers, silver cities under violet skies, her mother's patient teachings, her loneliness hidden behind royal protocols. They saw each other's pain, each other's joy. The whole messy complexity of two lives laid bare. And they stayed. Dr. Chen finally called a halt after 16 hours. That's enough for today. The bond is established. You'll need to rest, integrate, let your minds adjust. Excellent work, both of you. Zara separated from Marcus's hands reluctantly. The connection didn't break. It stretched, new and strange, a thread between their minds that hummed with presence. She could still feel him there, in the back of her consciousness, still sense his exhausted satisfaction. They stumbled to separate recovery chambers, accompanied by medical staff. But as Zara lay down, surrounded by monitors tracking her vital signs, she realized something profound. She wasn't alone anymore. Would never be alone again. And it didn't terrify her. It felt like home. 3 weeks after the bonding, Zara woke to the sensation of someone else's dream. Marcus was on the diplomatic ship,
3 star systems away, negotiating with a mining consortium.
But his dream bled through their bond. Vivid images of Earth's oceans, deep and dark and full of things that bioluminesced in the depths. She felt his peace at being near water, even dream water, his subconscious relaxation. Then the dream shifted. Danger. Urgency. Something wrong. Zara jolted, fully awake, her connection to Marcus sharpening from background hum to clear channel. What's happening? Explosion in the reactor core. Humans can survive the radiation, but the Thessarians here can't. They're trapped. His thoughts came quick and controlled despite the crisis. I'm going in. Don't worry, I'm shielded. I'm not worried. I'm watching. Zara felt rather than saw Marcus sprint through corridors melting from radiation exposure. His psychokinetic shields held the worst at bay, but even his abilities had limits. He reached a sealed chamber where 15 Thessarian workers huddled, their scales already dulling from exposure. She felt Marcus's mind expand, his consciousness spreading like a net. He grabbed the radiation itself, individual particles, waves of deadly energy, and compressed it, forced it back into the reactor core through sheer force of will. The effort tore at him. She felt his pain like her own. Too much, she sent urgently. You're pushing too hard, you'll hurt yourself. They'll die if I don't. Use our bond. She felt Marcus's surprise, then his decision. Their connection blazed bright as he pulled strength through it. Not her psychic abilities, which didn't exist, but her mental fortitude, her willpower, her sheer stubborn refusal to quit. He used it like fuel, pushing harder, containing more. Together they held the radiation long enough for the workers to evacuate. Then Marcus collapsed. Zara felt his consciousness dim, felt a bone-deep exhaustion as his body shut down to heal. Medical teams swarmed him. She experienced it all through their bond, helpless across star systems, terrified he'd pushed too far. Hours later, he woke in a medical bay. His first thought was clear and immediate. Zara, I'm okay. Everyone survived. You idiot! Her mental voice shook with relief and anger. You almost killed yourself. You kept me grounded. His exhaustion colored every thought. Thank you. I didn't do anything. I'm not psychokinetic. You gave me something better. You gave me a reason to stay conscious. A connection to something beyond the crisis. Marcus's thoughts grew warmer. Bonded humans can draw strength from each other. I just proved it works across species, too. Zara lay back in her own bed, half a galaxy away, and marveled at the strange reality of her life. She could feel her husband's heartbeat as clearly as her own, could sense his pain and pride and relief. They were separate beings, but also somehow one system. When had she started thinking of him as her husband, instead of her political obligation? The answer came from Marcus, his exhausted mental voice amused. Probably around hour 10 of our bonding, when you thought I felt like home but were afraid to admit it. That's literally what this is. Then put them in one of your crystal caves locked rooms. I can't hear what you deliberately hide. Marcus's presence in her mind was gentle despite his teasing. But why hide that you care? I already know. I feel it every time you check on me through the bond. Every few hours. Just a brief brush of consciousness to make sure I'm okay. It's sweet. Zara felt her scales flush darker. She did check on him. Had been doing it since the bonding completed. Little touches, making sure he was alive, present, still connected to her. I worry, she admitted. You do dangerous things. Someone should make sure you're not dying. I have a whole medical team for that. You worry because you care. Marcus's mental voice softened. I do the same thing, check on you. Make sure you're happy, safe, not drowning in your own thoughts like you used to. I don't drown anymore. Neither of us is. A pause. We've only known each other a few weeks. We've shared more in weeks than most couples share in years. Zara curled onto her side, imagining Marcus in his medical bay doing the same. When do you come home? We could actually spend time together, in person. Novel concept. I'd like that. Their connection hummed with shared anticipation. Zara realized something. She wasn't just accepting the bond anymore. She was enjoying it, looking forward to it. Marcus had become the voice she most wanted to hear, the presence she most wanted to feel. How had she gone from terrified to eager in such a short time? Because I'm incredibly charming, Marcus sent, clearly listening to her thoughts again. It's one of my best features. Along with my excellent tea preparation and my tendency to almost die saving people, I'll do my best. His mental tone grew serious. But Zara, this is what I do. This is what humans do. We step into danger because we can survive things others can't. I won't stop taking risks to save lives. I know, and she did know. Had felt his conviction through the bond, the bone-deep certainty that his abilities existed to protect. Want you to come home. To me. Is that selfish? Or, well, the sentiment is. Wanting your bonded partner safe. Marcus's presence wrapped around her consciousness like an embrace. I'll always come home to you. That's a promise. Don't make promises you can't keep. I'm psychokinetic. I can literally reshape probability. If I promise to come home, I'll find a way. His exhaustion was pulling him back towards sleep. Rest now. We'll talk more when I'm not half dead from radiation exposure. That's not funny. A little bit funny. Not even a little, but she was smiling. Marcus could feel it through the bond, and his own sleepy amusement flooded back to her. Sleep, Zara. I'll still be here when you wake up. I know. That's the best part. She felt him drift off, his consciousness dimming to a quiet background presence. But he was there. Would always be there now, connected by bonds deeper than distance. Zara closed her eyes and let the connection lull her to sleep. Marcus's dreams of deep oceans mixing with her dreams of crystal caves. Two minds resting together across the dark. Ambassador Thex looked smaller than Zara remembered. Older. His scales had dulled to muddy green, and his eye stalks drooped with defeat. He sat in a council detention cell awaiting trial for funding the assassination attempt. "Why did you want to see me?" he asked wearily. "Come to gloat?" Zara settled into the chair across from him, very aware of Marcus standing guard outside. She could feel his curiosity through their bond, his readiness to intervene if needed. But this conversation was hers to have. "I wanted to understand," she said simply. "You risked everything to stop my marriage. Your position, your freedom, your life. Why? You think I'm going to deliver some villain speech? Explain my master plan? I think you're going to tell me the truth."
Because you have nothing left to lose.
Finally, Thex's shoulders sagged. "You're right. I have nothing left." He met her eyes. "I was at Saris Ridge. Did your human tell you? I was there when they stopped our entire fleet. When they held us helpless for 3 days. He told me. Did he tell you what it felt like? To be conscious but paralyzed, unable to move, unable to breathe without their permission, to feel their minds touching yours, reading your thoughts, knowing every fear and desire?" Thex's voice shook. "They could have killed us. Should have killed us. We were invading their territory, but they just held us. 3 days of being utterly at their mercy. And then they let us go. That mercy was worse than death, because it proved they could do it any time. To anyone. Humans could stop every ship in the galaxy if they chose, could hold us all hostage to their benevolence. Thex's scales darkened. We're only free because they allow it. That's not freedom. That's imprisonment with invisible bars. So you tried to kill me. I tried to stop the Alliance, to prevent humans from spreading, to keep them isolated before they realized their own power. Thex looked at her with something like pity. You bonded with one. Do you have any idea what you've done? You've given a human access to Thessara's royal bloodline, to our genetic memory, our cultural knowledge, everything that makes us us. Marcus would never say actively take it. The bond shares everything eventually. You'll wake up one day and realize he knows secrets you never consciously told him, that he's absorbed knowledge from your very biology. Thex leaned forward. And your children, Princess, what will they be? Human? Thessarian? Some hybrid monster with abilities we can't imagine? Zara's hand moved to her abdomen unconsciously. She wasn't pregnant. They'd barely spent time together physically, but the possibility hung between them. My children will be what they are, she said quietly. Not weapons, not monsters, just people trying to find their place. You can't guarantee that, but I can promise to raise them with the same principles Marcus learned. Power exists to protect, not to dominate. Zara stood. You're afraid of what humans might become. I'm choosing to help them stay what they are. You're naive, or maybe you're so traumatized by your own powerlessness that you can't imagine a species with power choosing not to abuse it. Zara moved toward the door. Marcus felt what you felt at Saris's Ridge. He's bonded with veterans who were there. He knows the terror they caused. And he carries that guilt every day, even though he wasn't born yet when it happened. That's what you don't understand. Humans are terrified of themselves. That's what makes them safe. She left Thex in his cell, feeling Marcus's pride through their bond. "That was well said," he said. "He's not entirely wrong. We will have children someday. They'll have abilities neither of us fully understands. Teach them together, love them together." Marcus's presence in her mind was steady, certain. "We're not the first interspecies couple in the galaxy. We won't be the last. We'll figure it out. When I bonded with someone who makes me want to believe in better futures." Zara felt warmth spread through her chest. They'd been bonded for 2 months now, and every day the connection deepened. She knew Marcus's favorite foods, his childhood fears, his habit of humming old Earth songs when he thought no one was listening. He knew her love of early morning flight simulations, her secret addiction to terrible romance novels, her tendency to count stars when stressed. They knew each other, truly, completely, and somehow, impossibly, that knowledge had become love. "I love you," she sent impulsively. "Is that strange? We barely knew each other before the bonding." Marcus's response was immediate, flooding through their bond with the force of physical touch. "Have for weeks. Was waiting for you to catch up. Arrogant, accurate." His mental voice was warm with affection. "Come home. I'm cooking dinner." Well, attempting to cook. The results may be dangerous. Safety reasons. Zara laughed and felt Marcus laugh with her, their joy echoing between minds until neither knew who started it. She walked through the council halls toward their shared quarters, feeling Marcus's presence grow stronger with proximity. Other diplomats nodded respectfully, their fear of humans now tempered with cautious acceptance. The marriage was working. The alliance held. More importantly, she was happy. Marcus met her at the door, pulling her into his arms with the easy familiarity of bonded partners. They didn't need to speak aloud. Their minds touched constantly, sharing everything from complex thoughts to simple affection. But he kissed her anyway, because some things were better done physically than mentally. "I'm making pasta," he said against her lips. "Or destroying it. The jury's still out. I'll supervise." They moved to the kitchen, working in synchronized silence, passing utensils and ingredients without asking because they felt each other's needs. This was bonding. Not the dramatic telepathy or emotional crises, just this comfortable existence in shared space. "Your mother called," Marcus said, stirring sauce. "She wants us to visit Thessera next month. Some diplomatic function. Do we have to? Technically, yes. Practically, also yes. But I negotiated us a week afterward. Just us. We could go somewhere quiet. Earth's oceans, maybe. I want to show you real water, not station-synthesized stuff. Vast blue expanses, waves that moved with tidal forces. Life in forms Earth specialized in, abundant and strange and beautiful." "I'd like that," she said softly. They ate dinner watching stars wheel past the viewport, their minds touching gently, two consciousnesses learning to exist as one system without losing their individual selves. This was what Thex couldn't understand. What the Dominion feared. Not the power humans possessed, but the intimacy they offered. The terrifying vulnerability of being truly known. Zara had been afraid too. But fear gave way to trust. Trust gave way to affection. Affection gave way to love. And love, real love, built on complete understanding, was worth every risk. For what? For giving this a chance. For building something real with me. Zara reached across the table, taking his hand. Physical touch to match their mental connection. "Thank you for being patient. For showing me connection doesn't mean losing myself. For proving restraint is stronger than domination." Together, they sat in comfortable silence, bonded minds wrapped around each other, two people from different worlds who chose every day to understand each other better. The galaxy spun on, politics continued. Threats emerged and faded. But in their shared quarters, eating mediocre pasta and watching stars, they were simply themselves, together. And that was everything.